Today is a big day here in the Portland Trailblazers MyNBA franchise here on NBA 2K24. It's the trade deadline. We've got an opportunity to make up some moves, shake up this roster, and we're going to see some moves around the rest of the league as well. Leading up to the trade deadline, we would get an offer here from the Washington Wizards. It's a Daniel Gafford, Jusuf Nurkic swap. I said no. And then Scoot Henderson is back from injury, which means for the first time really all year, the entire roster is fully healthy. And it comes at an ironic time because we're probably going to be trading some players away and adding new players. So right when everybody's healthy, boom, it's time to make moves. As it stands now, the Blazers are 20-30. We are struggling, having lost 5 in a row and 8 of our last 10, pushing us lower and lower in the Western Conference. So presumably you'd think that this team probably is going to look to sell at the trade deadline. We're certainly not out of it in terms of the play-in race, but realistically, we've got to have the interest of our team's long-term future at the forefront. That doesn't mean we're not going to try to get good players who can potentially improve this team now, but we're really focused on getting pieces that can potentially help us long-term, whether it's a player who we think is going to be a contributor down the line or an asset/draft pick that we can use later. So it'll be interesting to see how we manage it. As you can see here, we're not like a horrible team, but this team's not winning a championship this year, most likely. I think I can go out on a limb and say that. And I think this roster's in an interesting position because pretty much our entire core is locked up for the next 3 years. Outside of pretty much Kelly Olynyk, who's an unrestricted free agent this offseason, pretty much everybody is locked up through 2025-26. So we're going to have pretty much everybody here for at least another 2 years after this one. So we don't have to rush into a move with a certain player if we don't want to, because we've got a lot of these guys under contract for a while. Getting back to Kelly Olynyk, who is a free agent at the end of the year, I think moving him is not the worst idea. I like what he's been able to provide as a stretch big, and I think a team who's competing for a playoff spot would certainly value that. And I think maybe we can get a decent young asset or a decent draft pick in return. So we get this offer for Daniel Gafford, who we mentioned a little bit earlier today. And I think this is a good idea. Gafford's a young guy. He's averaging a double-double. The problem is I don't want to be giving away first-round picks. And I am not willing to do this deal with the draft pick. I'm willing to improvise a little bit. Now, I assume the Wizards are not going to do this straight up. And the counteroffer has us giving a first-round pick. And again, that's not something I'm willing to do. I want to gauge their interest maybe on some other young players like a Jabari Walker, perhaps, and maybe try to get some more size with somebody like Mike Muscala. They say no. They want the first-round pick. I'm not going to do it. So what about maybe trading second-round picks? We're going to start with 2. They say no. They want 2 more. That feels a little bit rich. I don't know if I can give 4 seconds along with Olynyk and Walker for really just Daniel Gafford. I think I'd be willing to do 3, but I don't think I can go higher than that. And the counteroffer has 1 more second-round pick. I'm not willing to go this far. I feel like this is too much. I don't think I'm going to do it. So I'm going to try possibly a 3-team deal. Maybe trade a guy like Matisse Thybulle, who is just really offensively a limited player. He would go to Indiana. The Wizards would get Daniel Gafford and some draft picks. Neither team appears to be all that interested. I don't think this is going to really work. I went into the player finder to look at bigs. I think that's what this team needs the most. And I think DeAndre Ayton could be an interesting pickup. This would be a buy low candidate because his tenure with the Suns has completely fallen. And then another former number 1 pick, I think Ben Simmons could be interesting. I get he's on a really bad contract. I get there's this dark cloud over him, and he has not played well since being traded to the Nets, but I still feel like there's some untapped talent left with him. I put Ben Simmons in the trade finder. I don't entirely hate this deal with Jusuf Nurkic at the forefront, but I don't know if that's something I'm going to be willing to do. I don't really like the idea of a Jordan Clarkson, Dorian Finney-Smith swap. So I try a DeAndre Ayton offer, and again, they're interested in Jusuf Nurkic. I'd rather not give up Nasir Little, and I certainly don't want to give up a draft pick. What about like Matisse Thybulle? They say no. They view DeAndre Ayton as a valuable asset. I tried adding some second-round picks, and it was made pretty clear to me that this is not going to happen. I was willing to go up to 4 second-round picks. I think Ayton's that caliber of player, and they're just not interested in the trade. So let's go back to Ben Simmons here. I think this could be an interesting idea. He does not have trade value. He is not a good player. He's on a really bad contract. So I think starting off with Kelly Olynyk, Matisse Thybulle, I think that could be a good start, but I don't think that would be a fair deal for us. I think we need something else back, and I think a young guy like Dariq Whitehead, who hasn't really played for the Nets, could be an interesting addition. I think he's got good athletic upside. He's a good shooter, solid perimeter defender, and the Nets don't want to do it because of Dariq Whitehead in particular. I add 2 second-round picks, try to see if that is enough for them to move the needle. They say no, unfortunately. So I don't know how this is going to work with Dariq Whitehead, and I need to get something else with Ben Simmons to feel satisfied. So what if I try to get a pretty good future first-round pick, and I'd be willing to have Yusuf Nurkic here? They say no, the counteroffer's not good. So what if we try a 3-team deal possibly in order to make the money work? Matisse Thybulle would go to Cleveland for Isaac Okoro, who goes to Brooklyn. The Nets would do it, but Cleveland says no, which is understandable. So I'm going to try to add some second-round picks. Same response. I add 2 more second-round picks, 1 from each side. Same response. The Nets are being very flexible. Cleveland, not so much. What about maybe Jabari Walker? They have some interest in him? No. I now have the Cavs getting 5 second-round picks along with Jabari Walker and Thybulle, and they still say no. So clearly Isaac Okoro is not going to work. We have to scoop lower. What about Blake Wesley? The Nets still say yes, but the Spurs don't want to. They have more interest in Thybulle than they do Wesley, but it's not enough. They seem to like Jabari Walker as well. Not going to happen. What about 4 second-round picks with the 2 players? Nope, they're not willing to do it. For the hell of it, I added a first-round pick knowing the Nets wouldn't do it and the Spurs would. But look at this. The Nets would still say yes, and the Spurs would say no. But it gets worse. I tried Jordan Walsh, who's a 1-star, and the Celtics say no. They don't want to mess up their roster. Jordan Walsh has not played a minute for this team. I don't see how a 19-year-old second-round pick is doing that much for the team's culture to where you won't take a first-round pick and other stuff to get him. I even tried Bryce McGowan's, and the answer is still no. So I don't know how we can make this work. I tried it with just Jabari Walker, and the Nets want 2 more first-round picks. So we're going to keep trying with these lower-level young players like Bryce McGowan's. Here's Toumani Camara. He's not even that young. He's 23. It's not like he's some 19-year-old with great potential. And Phoenix says no. Like, I don't get the logic here. I tried with Jeff Doughton. Apparently, he's too good of an asset to give up. Jeff Doughton, a guy who has a career field goal percentage of 39 and a career three-point percentage of 24 as an end-of-the-roster guard. So I had to think about it a little bit. Is there a young asset out there whose team desperately wants to trade them away? And I think I found the perfect person. Kai Jones. I don't know if you've been following Kai Jones' antics over social media over the last couple of weeks, but yeah, it's been interesting. He hasn't played a single minute this year for Charlotte. It's not like he's 19 years old. And sure enough, we would get a 3-team deal with the Nets and the Hornets to work. The Hornets got Jabari Walker and 2 second-round picks for Kai Jones, who is sent to Brooklyn, along with Yusuf Nurkic, in exchange for Ben Simmons and a future first-round pick. So it's a pretty weird 3-team deal, but it gets the job done. And I really like this deal for us for a couple reasons. And I get the concern with Ben Simmons because he's on a bad contract. He's not that good of a player anymore. And the situation with him in Brooklyn has been, for lack of a better term, very toxic. And I feel like there's just been this dark cloud around him over the last few years. So we're going to take a shot on him, hope it works. But I actually think the biggest piece of this deal is this draft pick that we're getting from the Nets. And we'll be getting the worst of the Nets or Rockets first-round picks. Both of those teams are really bad this year, so we've got to hope that both of them stay really bad next year. And if that's the case, we could end up with a really solid pick. The Nets wanted to get out of Ben Simmons' contract so badly that they were willing to give up a potentially high draft pick to get him. And they also had Yusuf Nurkic, who's a good starting caliber player. I think he's on a fairly team-friendly contract. I don't think the fit with Nick Claxton is a very good one, but spoiler alert, Nick Claxton may be on the move in a few minutes. So along with this big 3-team deal, the Blazers have 2 more trades that they plan to make. The first one will be sending Kelly Olynyk to the Atlanta Hawks for a trade exception, Patty Mills, and 2 second-round picks. I think this is a really good move for Atlanta. They're getting a stretch big. They've had a really good season in the Eastern Conference, and we're getting some second-round picks, which, as I've learned today, certain teams really value second-round picks, and Patty Mills is going to be a good vet for the young guys to have. As for our final deal of the day, it is a straight-up one-for-one swap. Matisse Thybulle is going to the Spurs for Charles Bassey. Bassey is your traditional back-to-the-basket, low-post big, and those are the types of bigs who I actually still like to build my teams around. He's been kind of inefficient this year, but he's a talented young player, and I just don't really see a super big long-term future with Matisse Thybulle here. Since we traded away both of our bigs, we needed to add some more center depth, along with Ben Simmons. So those will be the three deals we make, sending away Yusuf Nurkic, Jabari Walker, Kelly Olynyk, and Matisse Thybulle. But we had Ben Simmons, Charles Bassey, Patty Mills, and some draft picks. We've been able to make this team younger, and we've been able to add to the stash of draft picks we have. I believe we now own 8 first-round picks over the next 5 years. Maybe not OKC-esque, but still pretty solid. So this is what the new rotation looks like with the team fully healthy for now, which includes Ben Simmons starting at the 5 and Charles Bassey coming off the bench. Before we get into our game against the Pistons, I do want to go through some moves around the league. It was a pretty active trade deadline. We're going to start small and then go through the bigger deals as we move along. So we're going to start with Killian Hayes for Blake Wesley. This might be the first time that a swap of 2 players and their field goal percentages were less than 60% combined. 2 very inefficient guards who need fresh starts. Blake Wesley was a first rounder a couple years ago by the Spurs. It hasn't really worked out. And Killian Hayes, that's pretty self-explanatory. He gets to join his fellow Frenchman, Victor Wembanyama. Jalen Suggs will be traded straight up for Denny Avdia, 2 young guys who have been kind of disappointing this year. I think they could use new starts, and I think both of these teams are better fits for their skill sets. Now let's start to get a little bigger. Nick Claxton, along with Royce O'Neal and Darius Bazley, are on the move to the Grizzlies for Santi Aldama, Zaire Williams, Luke Kennard, and 2 first-round picks. The Nets have made it clear they don't really want to pay Nick Claxton long-term, and now he's going to be traded to the Grizzlies. I think a front court of Jaren Jackson and Nick Claxton has to be one of the best defensive front courts I've ever seen. How are you supposed to score on those guys? You could argue those are the 2 best defensive players in the NBA right now. And now it's time to get crazy. So the Raptors are going all in on selling. We'll start with this 3-team deal that sends Pascal Siakam and Thaddeus Young to the Atlanta Hawks. The Raptors will be receiving A.J. Griffin, Tim Hardaway Jr., Evan Fournier, and 3 future first-round picks, while the Knicks will be getting DeAndre Hunter, Christian Coloco, and 3 second-round picks. The Raptors are mediocre. They've been thinking about selling for a while. Now it's time. They get A.J. Griffin and some draft picks while the Hawks get another star. But the Raptors are not done yet. They'll be sending OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa to the Pacers for Andrew Nembhard, Buddy Hield, and 2 future first-round picks. So the Raptors trade Siakam and OG Anunoby for Andrew Nembhard, AJ Griffin, and 5 first-round picks. I really like the fit of OG in Indiana. I think he's a perfect fit with the rest of their lineup, while the Raptors are going all in on a rebuild, building around young guys like Scotty Barnes, Grady Dick, AJ Griffin, Andrew Nembhard, and their 5 new first-round picks. So those are the big trades we've got around the league, and now we're going to take a look at this matchup here after the trade deadline against my favorite team in real life, the Detroit Pistons, who have the same record as us, 20-30. They've got a really intriguing young group led by their core 4, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, and Asard Thompson. Not to mention Isaiah Stewart is a good player, and they've got some solid vets like Monty Morris, Bojan Bogdanovic, and Alec Burks. We've got one more deal before the trade deadline. It's a big one. Anthony Gill being traded for John Konchar. League-changing right there. So with that, we are now done with the trade deadline, and now all focus is on the final third of the year. So let's hop into this matchup here at home against the Detroit Pistons. A little fun fact about the Blazers' schedule, they don't have a road game for basically another month. Their previous road game was a few days ago on February 4th, and they don't go back on the road until March 1st. Kind of crazy. This will be Ben Simmons' Portland Trailblazer debut. He'll be in the starting lineup. Charles Bassey will also make his Blazer debut. He'll be coming off the bench. So Ben Simmons meets up with Jalen Duren here at center court for the tip-off. And it will go to the newest Portland Trailblazer, Ben Simmons, as we are underway. A new era of Blazer basketball kicks off right here. Cade Cunningham with it for the Pistons, the former #1 overall pick, guarded by another highly regarded young guard. It's Scoot Henderson in his first game back after his ankle injury, as Cunningham is in for the first points of the day. Ben Simmons bringing it up with a nice move on Duren. as he sends it on the wing for Jeremy Grant, who hits the three. Ben Simmons is obviously known for his playmaking, but I like his ability to run the floor and handle the ball at 6'10". Simmons in the corner for Ochai Agbaji. He hits the three. Ben Simmons now sends it back over to Agbaji. Back to Simmons, backing down on Bogdanovic, and he misses the shot. Maybe we can't get too excited about Ben Simmons yet. He is still a very limited offensive player. Simmons over to Jeremy Grant. Deep three is good. The Blazers' first three baskets today are all three-pointers, and they've all been assisted by Ben Simmons. 9-8. Here's Bojan Bogdanovic from the top of the key, hitting the three for Detroit, and it's 13-11. Simmons brings it up with a beautiful pass for Scoot Henderson with the fancy layup. Good to see Scoot back in action after the injury as the Pistons lead by 2. Here comes Scoot. He's going to lob it up for the big man, Ben Simmons. His first points as a Blazer come off the lob from Scoot Henderson. Great play there by Ben Simmons, who's continuing to do a little bit of everything, backing down on the smaller Jaden Ivey. And Simmons is in for the layup. He's got 4, 4, and 4. Filling up the stat sheet early on. We're tied at 17. Here's Agbaji over to Ben Simmons. Simmons with it. He gets it to Scoot Henderson, who drains the three in the corner. Scoot with 7. Simmons now with 5 assists. Henderson over to an open man. It's Nasir Little. Little gets it over to Simmons, who spins past Jalen Duren. He's in for the dunk. Now, unfortunately, Duren is hurt on the play for the Pistons. This is a big loss for them. Jalen Duren is a really talented young big who the Pistons are very excited about, only 20 years old. I think he might have sprained his wrist as he was trying to get the ball guarding Simmons, as it's 22-19. Simmons still in the game, tries to back down on Stewart. Simmons he's got a lot of work to do as a post player, as you can see. And then on the other end, the rookie, Asar Thompson, makes the short shot. 21-22, here's Thompson. Thinks about the jumper, doesn't take it. He sends it over to the big man, Marvin Bagley III, who is in for the slam. 23-22, here's Kate Cunningham with a nice pass over to Detroit native, Monte Morris, who hits the three ball. 26-24, Simmons gets it over to Shaedon Sharpe. He's in for the layup and the foul. It's an and one. Asar Thompson called for the foul, and the Blazers take the lead here right before the end of the quarter. Bogdanovic gets one more shot off. It's a good look, but the shot does not fall. Portland leads at 27-26. The story so far, Ben Simmons. He's got 6 points, 7 boards, and 6 assists. He's on pace for a double-double by the time we get to halftime. Into the second, here's the new acquisition, Charles Bassey, in for his first rebound and his first points as a Blazer, coming off the bench for Ben Simmons. 28-29, Morris, open three is good. Simons was trying to evade the screen, but right as he finally was able to get towards Morris, he already shot the ball. Lob attempt from Sharpe to Bassey is unsuccessful. In transition, Joe Harris gets it over to Bojan Bogdanovic, who hits the pull-up jumper, and the Pistons lead by multiple possessions. It's 30-35. Here's Simons, not on the board yet, looking to call the screen. He sends it over to Shaedon Sharpe. Pulls the three. It's good. Open three ball for Sharpe as we're tied up. Jordan Clarkson's jumper is no good. Little with the offensive rebound, and Nasir Little is in for the putback. 37-37. Here's Simons with it. He's doubled over to Agbaji, who finds an open man. It's Jordan Clarkson, who hits the three on the wing. Good ball movement there. Blazers back ahead. Agbaji over to Ben Simmons, back in the game. Blows by Bagley, and Simmons is in for the layup. Ben Simmons continuing to look awesome here in his Blazers debut as he backs down on the smaller Monte Morris, and Simmons hits the hook shot. Ben Simmons has been really aggressive offensively. I think that's the biggest thing I've noticed with him, because that's been the issue over the last few years, his lack of aggressiveness. Marvin Bagley hits the three, beating the shot clock. Pistons cut it to 2. Simmons brings the ball up, blows by Bagley, over to an open man. It's Ochai Agbaji who hits the three. The offense just seems to be in more of a rhythm with Ben Simmons in the game. It's really interesting. Here's Cunningham in for the dunk, another former number 1 pick. Kate Cunningham makes the play as he looks to heat up. Cunningham with it, inside. Cunningham, what a play. Kate Cunningham brings it within 5. He's starting to heat up. He's got 14 points. Henderson with the throwdown on Asar Thompson. What a dunk. Rookie on rookie crime. Both Scoot Henderson and Asar Thompson expected to compete in the dunk contest for what it's worth, as Jeremy Grant hits the top of the key three. He leads the Blazers with 13 points. And look at Ben Simmons. He's got 10 assists. That's a double-double. He's a rebound shy of the triple-double. Cunningham hits the jumper. If that ball is missed, Ben Simmons has a triple-double. Final shot of the half. It's Jeremy Grant. And it's good! Grant with a three to end the first half. A big second quarter for the Blazers as they lead at 59-48 against the Pistons. Ben Simmons has been a man amongst boys. 10 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds. Again, if Cade misses that last shot at the end of the first half, Ben Simmons would have a triple-double right now. And we're only at the start of the third quarter. Simmons does get cooked on that defensive possession by Marvin Bagley, 50-61. Here's Beef Stew. Isaiah Stewart backing down on Henderson, but he misses it. Simmons with the rebound, his 10th. He's got a triple-double, and we're a minute into the third quarter as he gets fouled. So now here's the real test. Ben Simmons at the line. How is this going to go? First one, yikes. Shot looked ugly, and it barely hits the rim. Second one, at least it was closer. He misses it. So on the following possession, Scoot Henderson got injured. I apologize. The clip didn't save for whatever reason of him getting hurt. But he sort of collided into Cade Cunningham. It looks like he's kind of grabbing at his rib cage. That's not good. Scoot Henderson has gotten hammered by the injury bug this year. Is it time to wonder if durability is a question with him? Speaking of guys with durability questions, there's Ben Simmons with the slam. 53-63. Cade Cunningham off the catch. Drills the triple. And Detroit is within single digits. 7-point game. Here's Cunningham inside. Gets it over to the corner. Now out to Isaiah Stewart, who hits the three. The Pistons bring you within 4. Ever since Scoot got hurt, it feels like there's a lack of energy with the Blazers. Jeremy Grant responds, the former Piston, with the dunk. 65-59. Here's Cunningham, guarded by Anthony Simons, who still has not scored yet. Cunningham with the Euro step. He is on fire. Cade Cunningham has taken over this game for Detroit. Simmons with a dime in the corner for Anthony Simons, who hits the three. Finally, Simons has points. It took 2.5 quarters. 66-68. Simons inside, takes it himself with the throwdown. Nice dunk by Anthony Simons as it's a 1-point game, 70-69. Nice. Cunningham for three. It's good. The Blazers had a double-digit lead going into halftime, and it is now evaporated. Tied at 72. Here's Jaden Ivey. Backs up, beats the shot clock to put the Pistons back ahead. 2-point lead. Here's Jordan Clarkson inside in the corner for Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant's done such a good job of shooting off the catch this year. He's shot over 40% from three, and he's become one of the better three-point shooters really in the entire league. Charles Bassey, the big man, with the slam. We are within one possession. Nice pass by Anthony Simons as it's 82-80 with a minute to go in the third. Bogdanovich gets it over to Monte Morris. Back to Bojan for three. It's good. Bogdanovich puts the Pistons ahead by 5. Here comes Detroit. It's the rookie Asar Thompson. No good. Grabs his own rebound and he throws it down. Both of them Thompson twins are unbelievable athletes, showing it there. Final seconds of the third. Sharp with the dunk. But overall, a pretty disastrous third quarter for the Portland Trail Blazers. They went into halftime with a double-digit lead, and now they're down by 5. And not to mention, Scoot Henderson got injured, and the injury report has him down for a collapsed lung. That doesn't take too long to recover from, but it's kind of a scary injury as it happens. To start the fourth quarter, nice play by Nasir Little. Now the Pistons are in takeover mode. They can really put themselves in a good position in this game as Bojan Bogdanovich hits the three. 9-point lead for the Pistons. The bench fired up for Detroit as Simmons brings it up with a nice dribble move. Simmons inside with the layup. Ben Simmons has guard-like abilities. We haven't seen them from him in like 4 years, but he's got him in there clearly. Misses the layup, gets his own rebound over to Clarkson, who has Little wide open for three. He knocks it down. Good shot by Nasir Little. 94-91. Here's Cade Cunningham. He gets it to the top of the key. Monte Morris drills the triple. Both teams have been really efficient from three, shooting right around 50% from beyond the arc. The Blazers have a better three-point percentage today than three-throw percentage. Cade Cunningham puts the lead up to 9, make it 11. Here's Shaedon Sharpe, drives inside, nice layup. Sharp has done a good job scoring here in the second half. He's got 13. He's averaging 13 on the year. Here is Jaden Ivey, the young guard out of Purdue, with a great pass for Cade Cunningham. These two guards both have really good skill sets. They both have on and off ball ability, which I think they're able to complement each other quite well because of it. Nice defense there by Ben Simmons. He grabs his 16th rebound. Simmons is Jeremy Grant wide open, who cuts inside for the slam, and we are within single digits. There's only 2 minutes left on the clock, though. With Cunningham and Ivey in takeover mode, Portland's kind of hoping for a miracle. Cade makes it a double-digit lead. He's got 34 points. What a night. 11-point game. Simons with it in the corner. It's Ochai Agbaji, rock chalk. The Blazers aren't going to quit. 8-point game. Detroit trying to chew some clock here as Bagley is called for the charge. That's his 6th. He's out of the game. Hit the road, Jack. He ain't coming back. So now the Blazers have to score on this possession. If they don't, I don't see how they win this game. Grant for 3. No good. And I think this one is just about over. It's a 9-point lead with seconds left on the clock as Ben Simmons makes it at the buzzer. But it will not matter. The Pistons win it 111-104. Couple of big storylines in this game. The first one, Scoot Henderson collapsed one. Not good. What was good was the performance of Ben Simmons. Jeremy Grant with 27. He was very impressive, but obviously Ben Simmons was the bigger deal. 19, 16, and 12. He had a triple-double, and he was pretty efficient in the process. He has a season high in points, assists, and rebounds, which is very impressive. Now, I will say the limitations of Ben Simmons' game were notable. In the half-court offense, he provides no value unless he has the ball in his hands. He did not make a single shot outside of the paint, and he went 1 for 6 at the line. So the flaws of Ben Simmons' game were apparent, but it looked like he turned back the clock 4 years, and it looked like he was in Philadelphia. Scoot Henderson played really well, 5 of 5 from the field before he got injured. The rest of the guards were not good. Simons and Clarkson combined 3 for 16. We shot over 50% from 3, but under 50% from the line. Make it make sense. Cade Cunningham with 38. He was phenomenal. Jaden Ivey with 20. Boyan with 19. The Pistons also shot over 50% from 3, but they actually shot fairly well from the free-throw line. So here's the injury for Scoot Henderson. It's a collapsed lung. We're going to keep him out through the All-Star break to be precautionary. There's no reason to risk another injury. He's already gotten hurt like 3 times this year. So we've got 3 games before the break. We've got the Pelicans and then the Timberwolves twice. And we ended up winning all 3 games. How about that? Building some momentum before the All-Star break. You love to see it. Ben Simmons had some interesting results. The first win, he did not take a shot. Second game, double-double. Third game, he took 2 threes and he made 1. How about that? I love seeing Ben Simmons trying to be aggressive shooting the ball. So that'll wrap up the episode. Next time around, we'll make it through the All-Star break. And I think we're going to play the game against Miami. Damian Lillard's return to Portland. I think we're going to get through the regular season within 2 or 3 episodes. I haven't exactly decided the schedule yet, but we'll figure it out as I go. I hope everybody enjoyed. Let me know what you thought of the trade deadline down below in the comments. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.